Hello, hello. All right. Got the microphone working. Sweet. Big news. Big freaking news. We got a peace deal between the United States and Iran. Hello, everybody. I'm your boss, Joe Boss. And we're going to be going over everything that I have got in the last hour, research wise. And we're also going to be looking at charts like this today. Hello, Ani. Nice to see you. Very, very nice to see you on for this historic day. Because this is historic. Oil is now at $81. It tapped the $80 handle. Is likely going to go below the $80 handle now. This is insane. We can check out the dollar. And the dollar has crashed. Lord knows this is going to add fuel to the fire for the FOMC meeting, for Warsh to be more dovish. We know that much. To have such a huge event come in just before literally multiple central banks start having all their meetings and start setting their policy, I 100% bet all the staff and all of the voting members at all these different central banks are scrambling right now to readjust their forecasts, to rewrite all their statements before they have to give their speeches and announcements in the days ahead for the week ahead. Oh man, it really is a great day. Hello, Kari. Nice to see you. Thank you for hopping in on this historic day, on this historic stream. Man, this is such a big deal. I'm very, very happy as an American. Now, if you guys watched my streams, I was doing live streams the day before and the day after this war started, when we were still calling it Operation Epic Fury. And I was very much in the camp of, I would rather us not have to go in. As soon as I started getting information about stuff like, people in the military are being sent documents to sign, where in signing them, they're saying, okay, you're getting ready for war. We have a list of your next of kin, all the serious stuff for deployment, for a tour of duty. It was getting very, very, very serious, and I was not ecstatic about it, to say the least. But I was like, man, if only those Kurds didn't take those weapons. Again, Trump's the only one who really has said that. It's not really confirmed that the Kurds took those weapons in the fourth quarter of 2025, that they didn't deliver them to the protesters in January. But maybe the world would be a much different place if the U.S. didn't have to get so involved during those protests. Oh no, the stream seems to be lagging a little bit. Guys, stick with me. Stick with me here. I know it says that the stream is lagging, but my bitrate, everything is fine. Don't worry. It's just YouTube being YouTube. And on my end, it still says that the stream has excellent health. Excellent health. So let's go ahead and continue looking at a few more things. Now, in the Discord, the Trade Research Discord I got, we'll go ahead and do that. We have a few things to cover. There's a handful of things that we can do immediately when we look at. So here's the news. directly from the man. From the Prime Minister of Pakistan. Following intensive talks, we are pleased to announce that the peace deal between the United States of America and the Islamic Republic of Iran has been reached. Both sides have declared the immediate and permanent termination of military operations on all fronts, including in Lebanon. The official signing ceremony will be on Friday, the 19th of June, in Switzerland. We would like to thank the United States of America and the Islamic Republic of Iran for their commitment to finding a diplomatic solution to the conflict. We would also like to extend our sincere appreciation to our brothers in this mediation effort. The great leadership of, state of Qatar. I thought they put the great leadership of the state of Qatar, right? They're missing a the there. For their support in reaching this agreement. I would also especially thank the visionary leadership of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and Republic of Turkey for their immense contributions in this regard. With the agreement now in place, mediators will facilitate a series of meetings this week. These pre-implementation discussions will lay the foundation for the technical talks and the official signing ceremony. This is a big deal. It's a historic post. Now, there's a few more things here. This is Trump. Now, we're going to go to an archival site, and then we're going to go straight to Truth Social, where he has his actual post, where he's saying, the deal with the Islamic Republic of Iran is now complete. Congratulations to all. I hereby fully authorize the toll-free opening of the Strait of Hormuz and simultaneously herewith authorize the immediate removal of the United States naval blockade. Ships of the world, start your engines. Let the oil flow. President Donald J. Trump. Let's see if there's any other posts that he's made in this immediate short time here. This great deal will bring peace and security to the whole region. Many presidents have tried to make peace with Iran, and all have failed before me. The leaders of the region have, for the first time, found a president who can help them achieve real peace. With the opening of the strait upon the signing of the deal on Friday, for purposes of mine removal, oil will flow on both ends again for the region and the world. President Donald Trump, right? Let's go back. All right, anything else? Yeah, it's just those two. Just those two posts. So that's what Trump is saying. That's what Trump has shared. You'll notice that these are actually part of research threads. So as soon as the information came out, I'm posting this in our research thread on the crisis that we actually started following. If we go all the way back here, since January 3rd, people, we've been following this in the trade research Discord since January 3rd, when the Iranian protests erupted across multiple cities in Iran, originally via frustration over inflation, into demanding an end of the Islamic Republic's rule. Oh, I remember this whole thing. Yeah. This was amazing, and Ari did a fantastic job staying on top of this. He was really on top of this. He's a member of the community, a very good friend, and man, this was a huge deal. So now if we jump to the present, we have a whole bunch of other things to take a look at that I've found that have been released in just the last hour to get us kind of completely caught up with what the commentary is saying just about the event. And then we'll go back to assets, look at what is going haywire in the markets right now in response to all of this. I mean, we just looked at oil. Oil's probably going below $80. But we will continue to see how things go. The dollar is probably gonna fall through the floor. So many people like myself, I had some trades stopped out that were long dollar, and then guess what I'm doing? I'm flipping. I'm like, okay, the conditions have changed. I have new information. I can update my future expectations of what is likely to happen next. And it's fine. Stops happen all the time. There's a ton of people who I know were in the exact same trade as I was, people with much more money, much larger accounts, or much more fame. And I know exactly they're going to do the exact same thing that I'm doing right now. They're going to flip, they're going to go long, and Lord, when the stock market opens, on the week, oh my God, I think I actually have a post here on that. Right here. This thing. That's gonna be the fucking stock market Monday morning. Oh my God. Oh man. Yeah, this is gonna be insane. This is gonna be an insane trading week. It's gonna be so incredibly risk on. I have immediately short dollar in my FX stuff already. Like as soon as I got the news, I'm like, oh, flip, 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 flip. That's exactly what I've done. Again, I'm not telling you guys to flip. I'm also saying what I'm expecting other people to do. But I am not advising anyone. So don't try and like get on me for that, right? Yeah, to the moon. I get fucking to the moon. Oh my God, we got to check Bitcoin. I have to check Bitcoin. I just have to. I just have to check out what's going on with Bitcoin. And of course, Bitcoin in the last, again, this was just announced in the last hour or two. I got the news about 35, 40-ish minutes after it was announced. And yeah, we have gone from here to here. So Bitcoin's moved up about $1,500. $1,500, 2.3%. We're sitting at 65,000. Is this going to be enough for Bitcoin to start a whole new bull rally? Well, based on my thesis from my last weekly trading video, my last stream, this would bring my timeline for when I expect the next Bitcoin bull run to occur much sooner. I think it's probably going to be maybe more like Q4-ish, Q1 of next year. There's still problems with the manufacturing of ASICs and some problems with getting energy for the miners. There are some more fundamental problems Bitcoin and Bitcoin miners have that they're experiencing right now due to the strain from the AI boom. So a lot of miners are selling Bitcoin to stay in business. That's generally the thesis. I go into much more detail in other streams, and maybe I'll go into more detail in a future stream because it's a particular, it's something I like to bang on a little bit. But yeah, I don't have like this expectation we're gonna have this massive, crazy, up to $100,000 bull run in like the next 3-ish months. I would be surprised, really, if that were the case. I'm not going to say that there's a 0% probability of that happening, but I would be genuinely surprised if Bitcoin moved that high this quickly in this environment. I would expect it to take a little while longer. So let's go back here to a few things. Pete Hegseth says the deal is that there's going to be no nuclear weapons at all. This is Iranian state TV announcing the peace deal. So that's them announcing the peace deal. This is Vice President J.D. Vance going on Fox talking about the peace deal.
I think it's a big moment for the United States of America. Thanks, of course, to the president's leadership and the hard work of the entire team.
It's a bit low.
Three things that I think are important for the American people just to appreciate about what this deal does for all of us as Americans. Number one.
Now, I would just play the whole clip, but it does cut out about 1 or 2 minutes too early. Let's see here. And then there actually is a translation of this video here in another post that I have. Here it is. So what they're saying on Iranian state TV, that little video we were watching, quote, the Islamic Republic of Iran has officially forced the American Zionist enemy to end the war on all fronts. This is likely to become Tehran's central narrative, not a negotiated compromise, but a strategic victory that compelled Washington and Israel to accept an end to the conflict, which is not what I'm reading in other posts, because apparently one of the things that actually drove Iran and the United States together to create this peace deal is essentially the United States was saying, hey, look, the longer you drag this out, the more likely it is that the Israelis are going to try and do something to force you guys to react or try and make an excuse to keep the war going. Because there are a lot of posts, a lot of posts coming about that essentially Iran did not want this. Not Iran. Israel did not want this peace deal at all. And there were some very fiery phone calls between Netanyahu and Trump over this. And that Israel actually attacked Beirut. And that attack on Beirut kind of helped accelerate, get this thing out, get this thing done. In order to get Israel to stop doing their attacks. So that's very much a double-edged sword. I need more information about the exact kind of conditions that were going on to actually make a more concrete statement about that sort of thing. But yeah, that's generally the ballpark of what I have heard. Let's see here. Yeah. Again, I guess I didn't post it in here. Oh, yeah, and this is a crypto related thing. Justin, $150 million worth of shorts were liquidated in the crypto markets following the U.S.-Iran peace agreement. So right here, what you're looking at on this chart is people losing $150 million trying to short Bitcoin. That's what this chart currently represents, is a big fat burning hole in some people's pockets right now. I got hit. I know a lot of people who got hit on other trades because they just were not expecting this sharp of a move or for the deal to actually get done. But this was a really, really good thing. And I know like I just said, all the guys are going to start flipping. Everyone's going to start flipping and going long. Everyone's going to be fucking screaming, hallelujah. And, oh man, Lord knows how happy fucking Elon Musk is going to be now that he's just IPO'd SpaceX and the peace deal came along. You know how fucking bullish the stock market's going to be now? And you have this massive IPO. It's going to put gasoline on that fire that you call the SpaceX IPO. If I could take $1 for those watcher Google alerts over there, I'd probably have 1,000. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, they have a pretty good squawk. The technical term for this type of post, like a post that gives you the news as quickly as they possibly can give you, is a squawk. Like this news feed that's built into the Discord that we hook up to Financial Juice. All this stuff here. Yeah. Let's see here. We can actually probably see. Yeah, look. Iran's foreign ministry blames U.S. for Israel's ceasefire violations. Iran holds the U.S. and Israel liable. Let's see here. When did the news drop? Trump to soon announce accord with Iran. Deal with Iran has not confirmed. Will be signed electronically by me or JD Vance. And then 30 minutes later, the deal is now complete. So it was announced at 2, and it's now been about 2 hours. About an hour and a half since the post here saying that it was signed. Yeah. Man, this is great. This is great. You know who really is going to hate this? Because we know all of the bears in the market really hate this, right? Everyone who is short Bitcoin, everyone who's short the NASDAQ. Look at the NASDAQ, man. This thing is up already 400 points. The S&P is already up 67. Actually, we can go ahead and check out world equities, because I have an equities indices section here on the right side of my chart, my watch list. And we can list them all by percent change. So that is the Japanese index. And you can see in the last few hours, the Japanese have been very, very happy. Now, this is trading from the prior day. I don't think Japanese markets have opened yet. That market hasn't opened yet. Which one of these tickers are starting to flash? Because a lot of these tickers are not flashing. Oh, that's the Dow. And also the Dow is up, of course. The Dow and the Russell. I'd expect all these things to be up. This is going to be a great... everything's just going to be green. Everything's just going to be green there. Oh, and then here are all the currencies. You can actually see New Zealand dollar has the largest percent move. Now, why did I pick New Zealand dollar to go long? Because they were in the process of hiking into a slowing economy, and they had massive amounts of commodity issues. That's why I decided to choose New Zealand dollar based off the research that I do and that I read and that I follow and that I share that's publicly available in that Discord. And the link to it's in the description. Just hop in, talk to me, come make trade plans with me. Anyways, this is nuts. This is great. This is great. So I'm already sitting pretty. I'm already sitting pretty. You know, it's not that much in profit, but it's, you know, I think it's gonna keep going. The dollar is down against the Swiss franc, which is great because people are putting a lot of pressure right now on the Swiss franc and also, respectively, the dollar yen. The dollar yen is now down 30 pips. It's probably going to go down a lot faster. I think we're going to see, some follow through here. Yeah, I think we're probably going to see some follow. I would be genuinely very, very surprised if we do not see some follow through between now and when the deal actually gets done and when stuff starts to reopen. Now, there is something you got, and tell me if this is reasonable to you guys, right? I'll read what you guys say in the chat, but tell me if this is reasonable, what I'm about to say. Oil's probably not going to go below $60. Oh, that's Citibank. Yeah, there we go. Oil's probably not going to go below $60. And 60 is right here. And we can show the drawing. We have all these different drawings, but this is the line for 60 that we now have on the chart. We'll probably continue to accelerate down a bit, but I think we'll trade in the high 70s, low 80s for a bit. And the reason why I think, and that I want your guys' feedback on, is a lot of infrastructure was destroyed during this war. I mean, literally, all we have to do is go back to that research thread and scroll down a little bit. Yeah, you can see all these protests, U.S. naval buildup. Let's see here. When did they start blowing stuff up? Look at that. Yeah. This is a trip down memory lane. Where is... Look, Brent tests $70 again, yet large crude build caps upside. Oh, Seb. How quickly things change. This is why it's important to go back and sometimes reread old analysis. Let's see here. There's going to be... Yeah, you can see here. Here's some videos of underground bases getting hit. And then... was it in March? Where is it? I think it was mostly in March. And you can see Ari's posting stuff constantly here. And you can see how crazy the market moved on a lot of these announcements. Yeah. You can see we're posting charts in there. That's M Graphics also posting stuff. And here I am posting prediction markets. Forecasters assign a 75% probability the U.S. will attack Iran before April 2026. Guys, this is the kind of research we were doing months ago. And this isn't the only example, by the way, that we do this in the Discord. We've been doing this in this Discord now for a couple of years pretty consistently. So hop in and start talking with us. Start talking with me. Shit. No need to kind of beat around that bush. Start talking with me and the other guys in here. Get personal, right? Let's see. Canadians in Iran are being told, hey, GTFO out of Iran. We're just going to go, let's just do this. Let's just go down memory lane real quick, all right? Because Ari and I, and I'll just say, Ari was actually a lot more correct going into setting up better expectations than me on that this attack would actually happen, on the war would actually start. Oh, look at this. I believe this was the night. Yeah. Look at it. Ari's posting this. Trump says he'd love not to attack Iran, but sometimes you have to. Oh, man. Oh, man. Let's see. I believe this is the 28th, right? That's when the attacks come in. Civilian air traffic nightmare right now after Israel's preemptive missile strike on Iran. Oh, so this is when it's happening, right? Yeah, like right around midnight. This is the attack that started the war. This was the attack that started the war. That thing, that's what started the war. That attack started the war. See how well documented this thing is? See how well documented we are? How on top of our shit we are? United States Embassy in Qatar implements shelter in place for all personnel. Recommends Americans do the same until further notice. And then more attacks. Widely reported that targets at Israel were striked. Let's keep scrolling down. Oh, and this is when they started eliminating people. Started killing off a bunch of heads of state. Man. Oh, man. Did I actually ever get to my point that I'm sorry. I do that all. I do that sometimes. Sometimes I say, oh, guys, I want your opinion on something, and then I go on a tirade. Well, let me finish that thought real quick, and I'll continue going down this. You know who really, really hates this? Who really hates this piece, ironically, is, and I say ironically because it's Putin. Putin had a phone call today with Trump, and I actually posted that, yeah, Putin and Trump had a phone call today in this thread as well. Actually, no, I think it's in the Russia war thread. Yeah, right there. President Putin held a phone call with President Trump. Right there behind me. Congratulated him on his birthday and discussed bilateral relations between Russia and the United States. So why would I say Russia hates this? Because the Ukrainians, let's say here, I think I used the word theater. Yep, there it is. March 26th. Let's go ahead and jump. I still think that the U.S. will pivot to the European theater after Iran. So my theory was, okay, the U.S. has now mobilized a lot of their forces around Iran. If they were successful in either getting peace or winning a ground war or just winning a war, or maybe getting the Iranians to surrender, whatever the situation is, after the war is over, there's a lot of American U.S. resources over there. And it's not too hard to move them into the Mediterranean and then help the Ukrainians. Oh, check that out. Trump talked about the, quote, theater pivot. That's what I call that theme. The theater pivot today in his press conference. So what did he say?
I had a very good call with President Putin. We had a lot of people on the line from our side, from his side. We were talking about Ukraine, which is just a never-ending fight. And look, there's tremendous hatred between President Putin and President Zelensky. They can't seem to get it together. But I think it was a positive call on that subject. And we obviously talked then about the Middle East. And he wants to be helpful. I said, you could be more helpful by getting the Ukraine-Russia war over with. That would be more helpful.
Yeah. And Zelensky in the background is also saying, hey, Trump, why don't you help us out here? Because also remember, Zelensky sent over a lot of drones. They sent over their own missiles. They sent over drones to protect Gulf states from attacks from Iran. So there's a lot of Gulf states that feel like they want to kind of return the favor now to the Ukrainians, now that they're not having potentially to deal with this war. So I completely expect this fall, like once we get towards the end of the summer, beginning of the fall, the focus is going to be completely back on the war between Russia and Ukraine and trying to end that as well. And then let's see here. What else is there? These are some of my posts. Foreign Policy magazine is now pushing the, quote, theater pivot narrative too. After the U.S. is done with the Middle Eastern theater, move the U.S. armed forces to the European theater. Foreign Policy posted, a quagmire in Iran could cause Trump to push even harder to end the war in Ukraine. Was way ahead of this. One anticipated that the U.S. would stay silent about pivoting, while Zelensky, Z, would try to pull in other countries into the idea. And then this is a video about Zelensky. It says Ukraine is ready to send drone defense specialists to protect Middle East cities if nations there help it get a ceasefire with Russia. Like, explicitly, hey, we'll send you some drones if you help us get a peace with Russia. We'll help you get your peace if you help us get our peace. So, again, the more you learn about the world, the better at this type of shit you get. You learn how all these different things are kind of interconnected. And this is why I seriously encourage people to be a part of an actual forum and posting research and staying on top of stuff. Because when you start reading through this and going through the timeline and the history of it all, it's a lot easier to be like, wait, wasn't there that one thing? Yeah, let me go back into that thread and check that out. Oh, wow, that's actually really important for, like, the future, our future expectations, right? Looks like Putin is signaling he's willing to go all in if the U.S. decides to pivot to the European theater from the Middle East. Putin has issued a decree setting the size of his army, including civilian personnel, at nearly 2.5 million people, of whom 1.5 million are military personnel. And he actually posted this 4 or 5 days after the war with Iran began. Putin was outright saying, okay, I need to be prepared. If something happens, if the U.S. actually invades Iran, I need to have a contingency in case they decide to pivot. And if they go in and they invade Iran, they have this huge military operation. I need to be prepared and have forces and project strength. Like, holy shit. And now... And now today, Putin's calling Trump saying, hey, Donald, happy birthday, buddy. Oh, man, it's great. It's, you know, look, I'm happy all this is over. However, I was also dancing when we were getting rid of most of the Iranian leadership. But I was very much not a fan of the ground invasion. I was like, can't we just continue bombing them until they surrender? Don't we have that kind of capability? And it turns out Trump was even more tempered than that. So I'm very, very happy Trump went down this route. And for like the last month or so, people have been saying, oh, there's no deal. Oh, there isn't a deal. Oh, he's just tacoing himself. You understand how, and I never got that. I can never, I want to be careful with my words here, because I want to say that I can never really take the people who fucking put taco in their institutional research, in their professional research, seriously, because it just oozes political hate and bias. Like, it really, really does. Trump always chickens out. Well, if he actually chickened out, he would have listened to the people who told him just to keep bombing Iran, to do the ground invasion in Iran, right? It's like, oh, I want to do a peace deal, guys. I don't want to do this. I want to do a peace deal. Chickening out would be like, oh, haven't you guys seen Back to the Future? Do you remember the bully Biff, right? What he would tell Marty? What are you, chicken? Fight me. And Trump's like, no, I don't want to fucking fight. He's like, he's doing the right thing. He's doing the right thing. And then whenever I read research of a professional, and by the way, most of the time, it's from some fucking European country. It's always some, like, super duper posh, like, super uptight European dude who's writing these reports saying, is this just another taco trade? You know, it seems like none of these deals are ever getting done. It seems like we could never take, Trump at his word. Trump, there's this thing. If you trade in FX, called central bank credibility. When central bank credibility is high, it means that when you listen to, let's say, the responses of, like, say, Powell when he was Fed chair, now it's Warsh, right? But when Powell was chair, and he would answer questions during the press conference, depending on how well the market reacted to what he was saying, determined his credibility. So if, let's say, oh, here's a great thing that fucking happened. Do you remember the term transitory? Oh, this inflation, it's just gonna be fucking transitory, right? That sends your credibility down the fucking pipe. So if you say shit and you can't walk the walk and talk the talk, if what you say doesn't actually lead most of the time to the significant thing you were talking about, right? We're going to have transitory inflation. It didn't happen. It didn't happen for a year or plus, and we're still experiencing the ramifications of it, plus other shit going on now, piling on top of that. And that doesn't just go for the U.S. That goes for all these other fucking banks that fell into that trap. So all these guys are like, oh, taco. And I'm just like, you understand, like, every single time Trump has said something, the market, it doesn't, like, move a little. It moves a lot. There's a reason why we have a Trump watch thread that is collecting every single one of his posts. This is the most watched thread in the entire Discord server. There's like 70 people in this thread just watching this thread to get automatic posts, so then they don't have to have Truth Social on their phone. They can just get the posts here automatically of whenever Trump posts something. And then guess what? Because it's on Discord, we can forward it to whoever we want to forward it to, whoever we think could use it. And especially if it's news like this. I mean, this was so important. I went ahead and I'm like, dude, I need to like send this to everyone right now. I went ahead and I forwarded it and put it into my announcements channel. I'm like, hey, guys, peace deal. But this isn't the only thing. The tariffs were a big deal. And the tariffs are still coming. The EU is making this huge trade concession with something called the Turnberry Agreement, out of fear that if they don't accept this deal, there's going to be massive tariffs coming in here. There's a whole freaking analysis right here for you on explicitly this. Specifically, in the case of European manufacturing, okay. Yeah, here it is. Quote, this agreement does not represent this Turnberry trade deal, reciprocal, fair, and balanced trade agreement is what it's called. This agreement does not represent a, quote, return to normality in transatlantic trade relations. Above all, it reflects Europe's desire to contain the risk of new tariff escalation while explicitly reserving the right to back down if the United States fails to meet its commitments. Like, if the EU doesn't take this deal, there's going to be tariffs, and the tariffs are going to be way, way higher than if they just took this freaking deal. So the US is kind of forcing the EU to take this deal, and it's not even a bad, technically, it's not really that, it's not really a, I don't think it becomes a bad deal where I explicitly think this becomes a bad deal for the Europeans is if they go and they make a similar deal with the Chinese. Because the Chinese want to dump shit into their country. And if now they're being forced, you know, they're getting things in exchange for this on the U.S. side, right? Automobile sector now shows this ambiguity. European exporters will face a 15% tariff instead of a 25% tariff in the United States for automobiles. And for a whole bunch of other stuff. But the US is going to be able to send a ton of shit and dump it in Europe. Europe can only accept so much stuff. So much stuff. And so if the US is starting to compete in European markets, and the Europeans themselves are trying to compete in their own markets, and then you fucking throw in the Chinese and the Indians, it becomes so competitive. And the European businesses are in the worst position economically out of most of those countries, because they actually have really good they have some very high ethical standards is really the best way to put it. You know, you could argue about unions and taxes and socialism and all these other things, but the baseline is Europeans have much higher ethical standards than the fucking Chinese or the Indians. And at least in the US, for a lot of the goods that are coming over, you know, now that we're, you know, getting, you know, remigrating a bunch of people, getting a lot more, getting people who aren't supposed to be in this country out of the country. We are going to see less literal slave labor in the United States. Like, for example, in the field of agriculture that it says right here. You know, I don't know about you guys, but if someone goes and works on a farm for like really cheap, I think it's probably best to put it this way. It's not that Americans don't want some of these jobs. It's that Americans don't want the wages of some of these jobs. Like, the job itself, the wage for it to be a viable job is incredibly low. So then once you put a basic ethical standard of like, hey, you have to meet this kind of minimum pay, it's like it's not economical for me to even pay someone that, because the amount of work, the amount of money that this work generates is just not enough. But 99% of the time, that's just an outright lie. It's just a company trying to get really, really cheap, unethical labor. So, and the U.S. is getting rid of more and more and more of that. So Europe can go to India, go to China, and it's not like they don't have, everyone's got their own unique set of problems here. I don't want to be like flinging, caca at absolutely everyone here, and also we got to get back to charts, but seriously, there's a lot of stuff going on in the world. A lot of the stuff is interconnected. And just to kind of top off this whole thing with the Turnberry Agreement, Europe's going to be fine, and this Turnberry Agreement will, I think, help Europe's growth. This will be a net plus for Europe, and it'll be a net plus for the United States, and it will help build a stronger trade relationship between the Euro area countries and the United States, which is a very good thing. It's not so much fun on the European side, though, having to be pulled, kicking and screaming into this. Thankfully, a lot of people in the Euro area, in the council and the parliament, see this as a good deal and are getting it through those institutions. So, all's well on that front. And just so long they keep the Chinese imports to a minimum, they won't oversaturate their markets to the point where they end up damaging their own domestic markets super significantly. I was laughing because Ani's in here, and I just remember thinking about the what they said about Croatia and the 10% inflation they had there. It's like, we'll get to it when we get to it, right? I'm like, you guys this is gonna be so much more proactive. You gotta do something, ECB. You gotta do something. But Croatia has other problems going on. I don't want to start get to that, right? I don't even know enough to be super competent about it, but yeah, let's see here. Yeah, this is kind of funny. Iran's supreme leader on X commenting on Israeli attacks on Lebanon, saying 0 hours upon us. Launchers are being readied. You know what? This is a fucking taco. This is a fucking taco. This is the Ayatollah always chickens out. Just put an extra A in there. Like, we will destroy the United States. So that's more German, right? We will destroy everyone and everything. Yeah, no. If the United States really wanted, they could have destroyed Iran as a country. But thank God, we got a guy in charge that does not want to do that and understands how incredibly unpopular that would be to get into a war that involved. Man. Oh, you know what's probably got to happen this year? You remember there was that story about the pilot who was shot down and crashed in Iran, and then they had this huge rescue operation? If I search for pilot. Yeah, this thing. U.S. Special Forces and search and rescue teams launched a nightmare raid in the Rig Mountain region of Iran's southwestern Khuzestan province, rescuing a weapons pilot in hiding there, and clashed with the local garrison of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. Excuse me. It appears that Iranian resistance organizations coordinated with the U.S. rescue operation, rallying local Iranian people to take to the streets and vehicles under the pretext of claiming the bounty for capturing the American pilot, thereby blocking local roads and preventing reinforcements from the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps to the area. This was a huge, huge deal. And then there were all these pricks saying shit like, I hope he gets captured. You know, let me see if I can find his location and claim the bounty myself. All these evil people. It's like, yeah. Ugh. People were saying some really, really disgusting stuff about essentially wishing death upon this pilot because they felt like the Islamic Republic of Iran was more relatable. Yeah. And then they rescued the guy. And, oh yeah, I think I remember this post. Imagine being the IRGC. You get completely owned for 5 straight weeks, and then you finally shoot down one plane, and then the U.S. military just sends in Delta Force, rescues both pilots, and kills a few hundred men. You know, and anyone who thought that this could have ever been a contest, were kindly blowing smoke up your ass. Man, what a cool trip down memory lane. And then we got a lot of videos in here of all the different attacks that were going on, and then all the different commentary. Oh, and yeah. Remember the whole thing where all of these world leaders. So if we jump back to the beginning, way back here at the very beginning, there were all these condemnations from all of these world leaders all around the world saying, oh, look, the United States has successfully carried out its attack against Maduro here. Speculation that Iranian officials would have fled to Venezuela. Oh, and that's what this guy is saying. Let's see here. Is there... Yeah, these are the videos of all the protests. Did I not post them? Maybe I posted them later, but there are posts and condemnations from pretty much every single major world leader during these protests. And remember, this is why the war started. It wasn't because, oh, Israel just attacked Iran out of nowhere. There 40,000 protesters, Iranian protesters, were killed by the regime. And then the Israelis attacked. And the U.S., of course, backed them up. However, I feel like the protest over this period here, I'm pretty sure that these guys were supposed to be armed, and the armaments never reached these protesters. And then it was the momentum was just too hard to stop. That's 100% my speculation. But the IRGC still decided to mow down, color revolution or not, the regime still shot and killed 40,000 people. That's a lot of people. And so all these world leaders condemned Iran. And then what happened a couple of months later, so this was in early January. Well, guess what happened throughout the entire month of March? Oh, we can't get involved in this. Same thing in April. Oh, we can't get involved in this. We don't want to get involved in this. We'll never get involved in this. Look at what happened with Spain. There's this we will not let you use our bases. So many of these countries we will not let you use our bases to launch this attack. Yet they're all being total hypocrites because they were just condemning the entire reason why all this stuff was instigated in the very first place. They all, in January, were saying this is such a terrible thing, and if they continue, our country has to do something about it. And then as soon as March and April roll around, they say, well, now that it's the United States doing it, we're not so interested. It's explicitly, literally, I could do it here. I honestly, I could probably find it. It'll take me a little bit to do. But you can literally, for Christine Lagarde, for the head of Spain, for Keir Starmer, the Chancellor of Germany, Macron to an extent, Meloni even, the person who's in charge of Italy. I'm trying to remember the name of the German chancellor right now. But I am not exaggerating. I'm actually kind of under exaggerating right now. You can find posts of them condemning Iran and saying that their country will get involved on one side, and in a tweet they'll have an X post about it saying, hey, we will get involved in protecting these protesters and we completely condemn this attack, and if things continue we may have to escalate and do something about it, in January. And then in March and April, a few months later, as the United States and Israel start getting involved, they all flip and say, oh, we would never do this. Oh, we're never going to mobilize. Oh, we're never. No. You can't use our bases. You can't do this. You can't do that. Literally the thing they explicitly condoned, and then being complete hypocrites 2 months. I get they said something 1 week and then a week or two later they said another thing. It's probably not so easy to be going to a tweet from 3 or 4 months ago and then a tweet from now. I mean, it's not the same thing as going to a tweet that's 5 or 10 years old. People can genuinely change their opinion throughout that time. But, this is a huge trip down memory lane. Huge trip down memory lane. And man, I am ready for the risk on market, man. Now that now I have everything out of my system, so I'm finally going to the charts, right? Now I have everything out of my system. So now we pull up the charts. But it's again, I don't want to go back and get a second win. It's just, man, so much of the commentary from a lot of analysts that I usually respect. It's kind of like there's these cycles, right? New analysts come in, they're doing really good work, and then about 80% of them say really obviously dumb stuff that 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months later ends up as an opinion that's totally, or an expectation that has totally crashed and burned in a like a spectacular fashion. One of the people who is in the 20%, who I absolutely, I really, really like, and I still respect, and I still think he's funny. I still follow all of his stuff. Steno Larson, right? I've been reading his stuff for so long. I looked forward to all of his Nordea posts. When he was the guy writing the Nordea, I looked forward to that, because that guy was, when he was writing his economic outlooks, I don't care too much. He had a very Eurocentric focus, but man, he's good at trading. He knows what he's doing. He does good analysis. And then I hated it when Nordea dropped him. And they dropped him because he was opposed to the COVID restrictions. He compared the COVID restrictions to essentially like Nazi Germany restrictions. Like this is crazy. These restrictions are crazy. And because of that, the firm got a lot of complaints, and his boss had to let him go, even though his boss really didn't want to let him go. Actually, Steno Larson held a podcast for a while, and guess who one of his first guests was when he became an independent analyst, when he had his own Steno research group that he made. Guess what one of his very first podcast guests was? It was the guy, his old boss from Nordea. And he was like, yeah, man, I miss you. Oh, I miss you so much. You can tell he didn't want to let him go. But man, and actually, you know what? I think there's some Steno posts that I've cross-posted here not that long ago. So that's Kobayashi. Yeah, right there. There's a Steno post. Steno Larson right there. Big mover in our macro nowcast is that inflation risks are rolling over very fast in the U.S. Well, guess what? His model's now going to be extra correct now that the peace agreement has been signed and all of these inflationary markets are coming down. So expectations and prices are likely going to start coming down for a lot of the world going forward. Because also, when all these inflation expectations start coming down, all of these rate hikes, the kibosh just got fucking landed on all of these rate hikes now that the peace deal has been signed, and oil has just gone down so hard, so fast, right? Things are kind of going a bit haywire, but man, it's going to be so great seeing all these rate hike expectations start to get reined in. Actually, I'm going to do one little check here. I'm going to check if the CME group Fed Watch tool has updated its odds for the future here. Yeah. One hike. Not just one hike this year. I mean one hike to the end of 2027. One hike expected. One. maybe 2. Call it 1.5. 1.5 hikes right now, based on the current pricing. To the end of next year. If things keep going well on the inflation front here, we're gonna need cuts. We're probably, they could stay on hold indefinitely, but with Warsh in, we're probably gonna end up with cuts in 2027. There's a non-zero chance these odds for rate cuts start going a bit higher, especially if inflation keeps going lower. And then you put rate cuts on it and you're just adding fuel. 2027 could be an incredible fucking year. It really, really can be if the Fed cuts and inflation goes down insanely fast and the economy continues this huge mega AI boom. It really could be an insane year. Now I think that whole explanation is just insanely over-optimistic, right? But you need to be looking at all the different possible scenarios. You have to look at the best scenario, the worst scenario, and all the scenarios in the middle to get, I think, a holistic view of what expectations different points of view could have, and the different mix of those expectations, and the different reasons why those things could realize or not. So it's an exercise to say, oh, well, maybe we'll start getting cuts. But the odds are, I think, increasing. I don't think there'll be a majority probability until we get something like super extremely obvious from the Fed on forward guidance that what they are looking for in order to start doing rate cuts, right? Until we get something explicitly obvious, like Warsh says they'll cut when CPI is this percent and growth is this percent, we'll start cutting, and we'll start cutting in like the next quarter if that happens. If you get that, Warsh doesn't want to do that kind of forward guidance. From what I understand, he wants to be a little more opaque. He doesn't want to be so clear or so predictable. And I think that'll be a good thing, because that will give if everyone reads Powell, like oh my God, not even just Powell. Take the ECB, for example. Everyone, oh my God, this is just so funny. You want to talk about credibility? You want to talk about credibility? And yeah, there's the trade. I already had my. Oh yeah, I guess I didn't lose money on that trade now, did I? Because I got stopped out around here. So I guess I just had my break even, huh? Great, I didn't lose money. It's great. But Christine Lagarde, the president of the ECB, she said, we are going to hike the cash rate of the European Central Bank by 25 basis points. And I know what you're thinking, that we're doing this to kind of hedge our bets for the worst case scenario. Well, we want you to know that this is not a type of insurance that we're doing. We are looking at all the different scenarios, and on all of our scenarios, this is the right decision for us to be making right now. And then everyone, including myself, reads through the press conference, reads through the report, the actual meeting, reads through the forecasts, and says, that's a lot of bullshit you just said, because these different scenarios, you're just explicitly hiking because you have two scenarios that are pretty shitty, and you're not paying attention to the possibility that's actually quite higher, that you might end up with the decent one. So instead of the best way to describe this is, let's say the ECB had three scenarios. They had a bearish scenario, a more neutral but leaning bearish scenario, and then a bullish scenario. So instead of saying, well, the bullish scenario has a 33% chance of happening, the neutral, the slightly bearish scenario has like a 50% chance of happening, and then the really bearish scenario has the rest. Like, they put more weight on the thing they think is explicitly more likely to happen, that scenario, and say, well, we're going to cater to this scenario, and we're going to be ready to look for this signal in the really bearish scenario and this signal in the really bullish scenario, and we'll adjust our policy if we get those signals more clearly, but we'll plan for this one scenario as our base case. Instead, what the ECB frickin' did is they said, well, we're afraid of the bearish scenario, and we don't like the more neutral bearish scenario. So we're just going to hike now in anticipation of those two scenarios. Just carte blanche. And so they just treated all the scenarios essentially as equals and said, okay, across the board, that's how we're going to apply, or at least that's how I've interpreted it. And then you go and you read the analysis of other people, like, and I also said this too when I read the forecasts from the ECB, and then listen to Lagarde's speech saying, this is not an insurance hike. And then all the reporters are there saying, yeah, not an insurance hike. Yeah. We're taking our notes. We're reporting what you said and posting it to Bloomberg and Reuters and da-da-da-da-da. And then they turn around. They go to the markets. They hit publish. And you know what all the traders start saying? Oh, this is an insurance hike. This is very clearly an insurance hike. Given all the data that we have, this is very clearly an insurance hike. Yeah, they're just afraid. They're hedging. That's why this is a hedge hike. That's why they did this hike. Well, arguably, that 25 basis point hike, it's not going to be the end of the world. But I doubt that the odds look good for the next ECB rate hike right now. I bet the odds of them being on hold at the next meeting probably just went up a metric shitload after today's peace deal. Man. I could keep going on and on and on about this. For me, it's a great day because I'm very happy as an American to be the fuck out. Very happy to be the fuck out of this, right? Very, very happy that it's over, and it's now over peacefully. And come next week, Monday or Friday or Saturday, sometime after the peace agreement is signed in Switzerland this Friday, the Strait of Hormuz will open and the oil will flow, as the orange man says. Okay. I mean, maybe I didn't get to cover as many charts as I wanted, but man, I had a good time kind of going down memory lane. Now that this thing is like technically over, I sure as hell hope nothing bad happens between now and fucking Friday that makes the Iranians want to back out or the Americans want to back out. Oh, that would really upset me. And if I'm upset, the markets are going to be upset. The markets react off of me, you know that, right? No, it's just if something isn't good and you are able to relate with that's how other people are also going to feel, you need to seriously consider, well, are the other people who are probably going to feel the same thing I'm feeling right now, do they have a shitload of money that's exposed to that hurt? Oh, man. Anyways, I don't want to turn this into a rambling stream. I, tried to keep the topics on point. So again, hop in the Discord. We'll work on the next thing. Come do some trade research with me and my buds and the guys and the gals who hang out in the Discord. And yeah, thank you guys for watching who've watched all the way through. And for those also watching for, I don't know, historical reasons or whatnot. It's a historical day, All right. I'll go ahead, give you guys a proper send-off. Your boss, Joe Boss, and I will see you guys in a bit.